in history. That's the ECAC. And there it is. Both platforms online and dip will take it home.
What a game.
Take a victory lap, take a bow, and take the headsets off and start to yell.
Hello and welcome back to Esports U. My name is Visionary One. Alongside me, of course, Carlos Ivan. We're going to be bringing you some ECAC Valorant tonight. Definitely excited to bring you this matchup, of course, in between the University of Rochester, New York, and Weber State.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. This isn't exactly a huge opportunity yet for either of these teams. We're still pretty early into the season, so there's plenty of time for most of these squads throughout the semester to kind of increase their standings. Right now we have Weber State University rocking on a cool 2-1 throughout the season, but University of Rochester, on the other hand, not looking so hot. 0-3, only coming out with one map so far in the season. You know, it is possible that both these teams might be able to surprise us in terms of Rochester stepping up and Weber State taking a bit of a hit. Either way, this is definitely going to be a fun one. And, you know, I just got to say, Eli Visionary One, you said you were talking about your hair before we came onto this broadcast. It looks great.
I appreciate you, brother. I do. Yours ain't looking so bad itself. And obviously with the maps that we're bringing in today, I'm actually very excited to talk about these maps because they're not the traditional college picks that we get. We're going to start off on Lotus, then we're rolling up to Icebox for Weber State's pick, and then we're deciding it on Split if we get to map number 3. And this is something that was quite unexpected for myself. Obviously, College Valorant typically favoring Ascent almost every single week. We get to be here. We get to do some different maps, Carlos.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting to see teams branching out, but based off of this map selection, these map bans, it's definitely one that favors Weber State because Icebox is something that they love to run. But on the other half, when it comes to Split, all the way at the end of the series, that's where Rochester has taken their individual victory throughout this season. So if they can make it there, they might be able to win this in a 2-1 fashion. But it all depends if they can actually get there. But let's take a look at this initial agent selection. I'm already going to say that I'm a huge fan of the continuous Gecko picks, which is basically a necessity on Lotus, on any composition I'm on at least.
They're filling the void that the Sky Nerf left for the most part. To be able to have a repetitive flash that you can use to be able to spot enemies and get intel, I think is one of the most important things on this map because A main control and rubble is so gosh darn important to the rest of how the rest of the map goes, how your offense goes or how your defense goes, that it's very difficult to kind of see anything else. I really like Weber State bringing out the breach here. It's a great way to just kind of shut down any A main pressure to begin with. On the other side, we're going with a fade to pair with a Gecko. So, I mean, you get a haunt, you get a dizzy. Which one are you going to shoot, to be honest with you?
Yeah, it's creating a lot of different choices that you're forcing your opponents to make. That way you could take advantage of those split-second decisions. And that's very common for KD to jump over onto the fade. Normally, we'd see her on smokes, perhaps. But in situations like this where Brain Dead is going to pick up the smokes as a flex, that's when you have this fade pick come through. So I'm always excited to see what possibilities come out. And when you have that versatility across multiple agents, you know, you always get to get a little glimpse of maybe they're a little bit better on this agent. Maybe they just know how to use this utility a bit better, or perhaps when this player is taking on this role, it allows the rest of the team to truly flourish. I mean, we'll find out in just a few moments as we're here on the exclusive, the only 3-site map now that Haven taking a big L.
Rest in peace, Haven, honestly. In my opinion, the most diverse map pool that we ever saw in Valorant was on Haven, right? Just the agents that were able to be selected, the comps that were successful on that map. Now we get Lotus, and it seems like things are kind of stabilizing a little bit. However, after watching a ton of pro action, of course, with Pacific and Americas kicking off last week, it was still double controller meta almost all the way through, right? So we come here, we get to see more double initiator, both sides only running the Omen exclusively. So different looks from college, of course, to the pro scene. I think it takes a lot more coordination and a lot more just kind of patience to be able to run things as far as that double controller goes. But talking about patience, there's a huge lack thereof on the defensive end right now. You see that breach stun already coming out. You see a paranoia, a ton of util dump to be able to get that rubble control.
Yeah, this is the A-side special. You're going to be peppered with utility, but now we've got 2 players waiting University of Rochester over on B-site to see if they actually hit it. 3 players about to make a move.
They're certainly looking to make a move right here, and Dozen going to go ahead and get the opening frag here onto Rochester. We're going to see if anything can be found. It's just going to be a Killjoy turret for now. Obviously, Killjoy lone on C. This is not a situation that any Killjoy player is used to. Luckily enough, you're going to play retake, but you have a couple more players alive right now as it looks like the spike is going to go down. We're going to see Weber State most likely playing a strong 5-person retake.
It doesn't want to overextend, and as I say that, they walk through the smoke, but they secure a kill, send out a paranoia for a bit more safety while the retake comes out from CT, but Nem is holding their own.
They're certainly holding their own, but the spike's not down either. The spike has been shot. So for Rochester, you have your positioning. Nobody is there yet. Now you're down to 1 person left. We're going to see if Jalen can get anything done here versus 3. Nice swing to try to isolate 1. Unfortunately, the triple swing just going to be a little bit too much. 2 angles to cover. Not going to happen there. Dozen Boot's going to get a 3K. Weber State's going to be able to take down the first round. And it's just one of those things for me personally that I understand sitting in wingman, but just like the VCT crowds boo every single time he's got shot, you got to protect that man while he plants. You can't just leave him out there because he got picked off. And now that retake wasn't even a retake. It was just getting more map control and eventually eliminating the opposing team.
That could be a real problem if you're any team that's relying on that wingman. If you're not sticking around with it, you're going to be completely out of position. And if that spike doesn't go down, that's going to put you at a major disadvantage. You have to play a retake game for your own spike and then reset. And all the positioning that you've made is pointless.
And you talk about positioning right here, that new little box that's been added on the left side of just kind of the mid in between rubble and stairs. This position is just filthy. Do you check it? A little jump spot there, but I don't know if that was actually seen. It was, but doesn't Boot going to be able to find one off of it regardless. Close nade here to try to buy them some time. However, Nim's going to find two here. Great job by Nim of opening this up with just a sheriff in hand.
I have some acquisitions of weaponry. Only one player left. It's Fizz Rain here on Tree. That's defending it proper, and they might be able to make magic happen with 2K. Can they pull off a third? No. Nem will shut that down, but it's still a 2v2 on a round that should have been a slam dunk for Weber.
It should have certainly been a slam dunk. You still have Dizzy in hand as well that's going to be used here. It is going to spot out where Nem is, so the plan has been found. Dizzy is also going to be found. Nice little transfer here for John. Going to be able to get one out of the way. Wingman's going to be there as well. Taken down. Mosh, Turret, all of the util dumping in the world right now as Jalen tries to get these sheriff shots. Going to be able to find one. Unfortunately, it's not the head, and Weaver's going to have a second successful retake here. Although, I mean, it shouldn't have been that close to begin with. It was just kind of that overextension, the ability to not get out behind that box that kind of opened up the round. And obviously, does get the first blood, but you fall instantly after that and get traded, and then you end up finding two. It's a great job by Rochester of kind of bringing that back and causing some economic damage.
Yeah, good work from Nem so far, and now they're going to be rocking with the Thrash, so it's definitely exciting to see how that can be put into place for an attack, and I'm not quite sure where they want to go, and that's the beauty of attacking on Lotus, is that you have those options, but two players playing it quite close on B, perhaps for an early fight.
I mean, with a limited economic situation that's currently there, it definitely makes sense to take that early fight. They're trying to get the other one out. Two shots landed by Doesn't Boot, but it's not going to be enough. Caddy's going to be able to get that shot down. And look at this util dump just to try to get a little bit of space onto B site. And unfortunately, it's not really going to happen. Everybody's going to be open up, and now we're going to see Thrash potentially entering. The answer is going to be no to that one. They decide to pull it back, regroup as a team, and decide where to go for there. And it looking like it's currently going to be on the C site.
Good work, because that pulls out Fizz and John from C-side. They were ready to be back up just in case B was a big hit. But now this time, there will be a plant secured. Smokes block off anyone who wants to take those longer angles, and based on the SMGs and pistols, those aren't going to work anyway. So it's going to be a difficult road for Weber to get back in, but they got 4 players and plenty of utility to make it happen. Paranoia coming out from the door. Started off, but not much after.
Nice Dizzy flash to enter the site here, however, and it's kind of a flood right now. Fizz Rain and John are going to find a couple. Spray miss right here by Braindead, kind of following his own namesake right there, as the aftershock going to be used to get him down off of the box to get off that high ground. Here's another shot coming out from Cattybird. Has 3 on the round, going to be dropped here by Zing. It's now a 1v1 and a dig coming out as well, but you have to worry about the spike. That's going to be the hardest part of this situation. Do they stick for half? They do. Unfortunately, middle is going to be back there. Rochester is going to be able to take this round. However, it is extremely expensive, losing 4 of those rifles.
That was a nuts potential from Zink. The dink off Zink, if that was any other weapon, that would have been a 3rd round secured for Weber State. But now we're immediately going into a timeout, which is quite interesting. 3 rounds completed, and Weber only loses 1. They say, you know what? Hold on. Wait a minute. That shouldn't have happened. But also the fact that it got so close, that feels like it was the best that they should have been able to do. But when you have victory so close and can't quite get it in the end, maybe there are some things that you want to reassess. But now we're looking at the economics of the situation. Rifles will be across the board over for Weber. Not quite the same situation for Rochester. We have light shields. A Sheriff, potentially Cattybird, could go and turn that into a Bulldog, maybe a Spectre if they're looking to get more rapid firepower, but this is not going to be a heavy-hitting round. The only major piece that's going to help Rochester is going to be that Thrash off Nem that we didn't see in the previous.
And luckily enough, they didn't need it, right? It did get close, but they were able to squeak by with the round intact. And yeah, the buy is kind of scuffed here. Obviously, I think Katie is just going to try to hold on to that economy for the most part. Actually, no, they give Katie a Vandal here, and they're going to go Nim on an Ares. I love seeing the Ares buys, by the way. It's okay. I got trolled. I hate it when that
They're
happens.
like, oh, I bet you do, don't you?
I bet you do. I bet you do. But now looking at this full rifle round, and it's kind of funny, right? Because we saw as soon as this B site, you know what? I'm just going to hold that point because we're just going to follow Thrash in here to the B site. We're going to go ahead a little bit tag up by Jalen. Actually going to miss the grenade as well. That is terrifying. And the spray here by Fizz Rain going to be able to find two. You see the glow on that Phantom currently top fragging out as Usopp's going to be able to find one. Zane's going to find a second. And maybe we're kind of flipping this back on his head a little bit. Nice shot here from Nim, but the round is over almost as quickly as it started. Thrash not really finding any value there and shut down on the B site are Rochester.
I want to say that was a great intention. The idea was there. Fast movement, Prowler, Thrash, clear anyone who's on site proper, and they had to back up. That's what we saw. Most of the players who were defending B, they backed up. They didn't hold those close angles. They weren't taking fights immediately. Unfortunately, Jelen, with a misnade, wasn't able to convert that into any more, and the hopeful flank that was coming out from A site off middle just did not make a connection either. And this is such a late timeout with 1 second left. It's almost like a close defuse.
This one right here, this is quite literally just a bathroom break timeout. I'm calling it right now. Just like, yep, we're going to have a chat about this afterwards, but right now I have to use the restroom. We still have one more for the second half. We'll be all right with 1 second left. Unless they're like, hey, you need to sell that Vandal real quick because we're actually going to full save as a team. Regardless of what's going on right now, the back-to-back timeouts are kind of curious to me just because neither of these have been full rifle rounds, to be completely honest with you, right? Both of these rounds that we've seen out of these teams kind of on the eco side, right? You lose one over on the side of Weber State. You take that timeout when I mean, if I'm correct, you brought a Spectre and a Stinger into the round and that was it. And then on the other side, you lost 4 rifles, so you weren't able to buy back up for Rochester, and now you call a timeout as well. So either they're trying to strat and anti-strat and go like Giga Chad with this, which I would love to see, obviously, but I really feel like this is kind of more just a mental reset break and or bathroom break to get back-to-back ones like that.
Sometimes you got to walk away from the computer. You just got to step up and say, all right, I didn't like how that went. Let's try again, and they're running it back. Mid is the hit, and you've got a nice routed step, and Braindead is going to take that first kill on John.
It's a huge find right there, and we'll see if they can take more spaces. Doesn't Boot's going to be able to take out another, and unfortunately Braindead just pushing a little bit too far into 2, not really appreciating the space that has been taken as we get Doesn't Boot coming out with this beautiful showstopper right here. Are you going to be able to find anything? He's looking right now. Nobody's in the immediate danger zone. It's going to be a little bit of a Rosa ult, but the defuse coming all the way down. It's going to be Katie Bird, last one left. Not even going to take it, just trying to save a rifle out. Maybe trying to find a pick. There is one. And hey, you got the plant down, you got a little bit of extra cash, and you did save the Vandal that you brought into the round, and we're finally going to get our first full buy round.
It does force out that showstopper from Dozen, so that's actually going to be a bit more helpful when they want to, if they want to take B or A again, because those close quarter, those tight corridors that they have to push out through, those choke points are going to be so critical if you want to multi-kill off that showstopper. You don't have to worry about that, but they have a lot more to deal with as well. John's got that Thrash. Fizzrain has the Rolling Thunder. There's still plenty of tools that Weaver State can win with, and we haven't seen a potential C hit in quite some time, so maybe that'll be a breath of fresh air for them to get their second.
Certainly could be. I think it's kind of the poking and prodding. I think they want to slow the pace down a little bit after getting successfully retaken twice after pushing the site. And I love this turret position here by Zinc as well. Like just tucked into that corner, going to be able to get anybody entering, not going to be able to find out much more. And because that's not the standard turret, it actually sees one out, and you're going to be able to go ahead and watch them back off of the C site here. I don't think this is going to be a hit.
And it's so delayed, it's so slow, and this door is signaling a transference over to B site. Here's a potential Rolling Thunder if they want to go for it, but Usopp's got a great angle to begin with.
Jalen's going to have the answer right there. Unfortunately, knocked off the plant is Wingman. Going to be a paranoia through as well. Jalen's going to find 2 before they get taken down by Dozen, who has 3 on the round. Braindead going to swing 2 more. Oh, it's a 1v1, but from the grave, if you're an old Halo player like me, Dozen Boot gets downed by of course, Braindead. However, The paint shell's still available in there. Going to be able to get the retaliation while he is laying down.
Little martyrdom perk as well. What a nice way to close things out. Dozen putting on a clinic along with Fizz Rain. That was the use of that Rolling Thunder. It came through. It stopped the push. And now it's beaten back Rochester. They're on such a low buy. They're in shambles once again. 2 ultimates at the ready, but they're not going to help them too much to take any side or really secure it in the post plant. But there's still opportunities. It all comes down to being able to get picks. I would say they have to come off the Sheriffs.
They definitely have to come off the Sheriffs because you're going to be playing at range to start off with. But I think the biggest thing for me for Rochester is, like, why are you not fighting for that A main control? You do have an Omen that can Shrouded Step across rubble to be able to provide some dynamicism to where you're at. And it looking like now they're actually going to take that space after it was kind of left alone by Fizzrain and Braindead and Usopp. They don't know they're staring at each other. As, oh my, it's another missed piece of utility coming out from Jalen, and he's going to have to pay for it. As Usopp going to find 2 just kind of sitting there. Katie Berg going to have to go ahead and rotate off of this one. And all that space you just gained on rubble is just basically just shot right there by Usopp playing in Baby Door.
And now they got to run it back. Rochester is playing the same game, except now Weber knows exactly where they are. Now they don't have to worry about these different angles. They know they're coming from this way. Except in that moment, that's when Usopp decides not to look through Baby Door anymore, and it's free purchase onto A site through Tree.
I mean, you're on an eco round. If you get the plant off, I think that's successful for the most part. We're going to see Wingman going down right now. Unfortunately, Pain Shells are going to tag him before he can get the plant, and this is going to make this all the harder. With 13 seconds to go, 3 people are stuck in Tree, and you're forced to swing due to the aftershock, and it is just a crossfire of death. There, Usopp, Fizrin, and John all finding one out of that 3 push out of Tree. No value to be found there as the bankrolling economy right now. It's looking fatter than Jim Nance's wallet at this point for Weber State.
You know, and that brings us back to the repeat issue of if you're not rocking with the wingman, you need to come up with a better wing plan. Because that placement inside of Tree is perfect for watching in a post plan. If you're attacking and everyone's looking at that door, they can throw every piece of utility that they got in the arsenal to take it out. And we're about to see a lot of utility again.
A lot of utility is there. However, Doesn't Boot is going to get stunned by the fault line, and Braindead, great TP into the back behind the, but he's going to get taken down after finding 1. Okay, so the teleport there is actually behind the box in Seaside CT. That is something that I love abusing just because that's one spot that nobody thinks you are. But the C site is going to be hit now, and it's going to be basically free. You did take 1 person off, as well as Thrash being used here to check CT. He's going to be brought back so he can go again. Fortunately, just a little bit in front here. You've lost your Omen, so you actually don't have any smokes, and 2 are on the flank here, so you have to be aggressive with them trying to play retake here.
Don't have to worry about the flank if you can't even hold the front. Fiddle might be able to make it happen, though. A quick double turns it into a 2v2.
Oh, it's a 2v2 now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use the Nightfall as well. Prowler going to be able to find 1. Here is the Stick going to be able to find that. The Swarm Grenade coming out as well just to delay. This is a great round played by Rochester right now. Here's the swing by Katie Bird. It's going to get Usopp, and it's going to be a 2nd round right here for Rochester. That was exquisitely played, knowing that your Omen has died, going out and taking that space aggressively, regardless if you win it or you lose it. That's what you have to do. You have to eliminate the 8 goals you have to watch, and Rochester did a phenomenal job of doing that.
Yeah. Wonderful work from Middle to take those 2 kills in the back. That was absolutely necessary. And I think because of Middle, their impact has won them the 2 rounds that they have taken. When Middle can find impact kills, impact plays, I think that allows Weber State to finish things off. But securing off those individual angles, allowing you to play your game and know exactly where your opponents are, that's going to lead you to victory. Now we see 3 players actually being led over to C-Site before we have a hit from Rochester.
I don't think it really matters. I think you invest the lockdown here, and they are going to. We're waiting for it. There it is. So we're going to make sure that Wingman gets the plant down. That is going to be secured. This is going to be a good mosh as well. Going to get Zinc off the current angle that they're at, combined with some paint shells. But that's going to destroy the lockdown, so the retake can come in just that much quicker. There's about 4 seconds left on it, as Dizzy about to be popped right now, and a Killjoy on the other side going to be popped now, but this time it's the attackers using it. Are you going to be able to get here on time is the question. Two are going to be picked off trying to defuse. This is a great location to have this as well, pushing anybody off. As in the smoke goes the Omen. Going to be taken down by Fizzrain, but not much left to do here. Time running extremely low. Haunt going to spot out too. There's the shots. Katie Bird just kind of taking a minute to try to line that up. Not going to find it, and I don't think there's enough time here. It's going to be awfully close.
No way.
Oh my.
No way! Weber wins that! After all the setup, I was just about to say that Rochester looks like a brand new team, being able to open things up, destroy the lockdown, place one on their own, and then re-enter onto the site and have that proper post-plant setup. That should have been a win. That should be 3-6 we're looking at, Visionary. What just happened? That is not possible.
I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I don't think Katie realized that she was the last one because she took forever to line the shot up on Fizzrain. And I understand, like, that happens sometimes, but it just looked like there was, like, a lag or a glitch in her gameplay because it took so long to kind of get that target acquisition, especially after the Haunt Mark II, right? So because of that, it's just the 0.64 second difference that you end up seeing. That's literally just the difference in between getting that first kill quick and being able to just hold off the other one for half a second, or the end of the round, as we kind of see A stack towards B, but it's going to be a little bit of misdirection here potentially, but Fizzrain going to be playing in tree. It's going to be a very strong position versus this rush of mostly classics and sheriffs.
Last time Fizzrain was in tree, it was a mess, and it's going to be once again. But no, Nem and Katie Bird, they take down two and give themselves a player advantage. Only Usopp is holding on Baby Door. They have to back up, especially with that paranoia.
That's a great paranoia coming through as well. Okay, so we're also going to get a nano swarm here to try to hold off just that presence of Usopp. Plant is going to go down. We have two approaching right now through heaven. We're going to have one probably going downstairs. I'm going to bet that's Usopp. If I was a betting man myself, is Jalen just holding drop right now, waiting for somebody to swing through. Here's John, going to be caught out by Jalen, and now 3v2 in this post plant. We're going to go ahead and see that nano swarm burned as well, and Jalen holding this strong position right under drop. He's going to be able to find a second. 11 HP left. Are you going to go ahead and get aggressive here? Dizzy is going to be shot. Zink knows exactly where they are. There's the paint shells just to delay even longer, and this looks like Rochester's round for sure, and it is.
Thrifty one at that, and that comes off the back of Katie Bird and Nem finding those two pistol openers to lead them out. Wonderful job capitalizing on the brief advantages that they're able to find for themselves. And now we have another rifle round, which feels like it has been ages since we've seen a proper one. Thrash and Showstopper on the dock for Rochester, but the same can be said for Weber, along with a Rolling Thunder. Only two more rounds left in this half, so there's no need to be conservative with the utility.
I think the fun part here, though, is you have to look at the economy, right? Rochester's starting to build some up as the fault line. Going to find more in A main once again, but we're looking more like a 3-1-1 default right here. Some pre-fire coming out from Jalen, who had a stalwart last round with 2 kills. Braindead's actually going to find the first one onto Fizzrain. That's going to be massive, so the lurk is going to be gone. 2 are already over here near C, but the utility just being wasted at this point. Are you going to send Wingman in? The answer is no. Right now, I would be hard hitting A off of that pick, knowing that there's probably only one over there.
It's probably going to be the case, but will anyone rotate? Will there be a quick realization from Weber? Most likely not. You have that slight movement from Zink that they're slowly backing up, taking a longer angle, and now the rotations have been called. Usopp getting ready for a rotation through B site, but Jelen actually gonna jump inside B with the Showstopper? What's happening?
This is a crazy attempt right here, and Spike was actually there. They're planning B. They're actually turning this around. Doesn't Boot actually going to burn his Showstopper as well? Are you going to be able to find the value off of it? Braindead with a magnificent shot after the satchels coming in. Zink going to be able to find one on this retake attempt. However, this is a 4v2 right now for Rochester. 1 in main. We have 3 right now, right outside Cubby. Are they going to be able to take this space off that paranoia? The answer is no, however. They're holding strong, knowing that they have the angle on the plant. John having to push out here. Found by your Braindead. 3 kills on the round. Are you going to be able to bring a 4th is the question, as everybody and their mother is pre-firing Zink currently.
Zink made the right choice of thinking, there's no shot I'm coming out of this one alive. Forced out for the save. They might be able to buy a teammate after this one, perhaps get an exit onto Katie, but Katie decides not the case. You're going to buy like the rest of them. Wonderful stuff out of Rochester. Definitely have been waiting for this confidence confidence for them to make wild plays like that. And it certainly threw me for a loop as well as it did for Weber. The idea that it was even Doesn't Boot who pulled out the showstopper expecting a rush through A main did not find it whatsoever. The double satchel to try and recoup that loss led to a quick, hasty death. And now, this is the opposite side of the spectrum that we will find themselves in. Not a full buy. Half Shields, Stingers, Spectres, Guardians. Can they pull off a Thrifty, or are they going to end this one on 7-5?
It's definitely going to be interesting to see, especially noting that Gecko just found a couple here. So we're going to go ahead and see Wingman in. It's just going to be a full-out assault onto the C side, not caring about utility, not caring about anything else. Turret going to find some shots, but it's going to be a full 5v5 retake. This plant is so quick. Just an explosion onto site. The question is, how long can you hold this off? Because we've seen Weber State be so successful in these retake scenarios.
4 players are going to be coming out of Waterfall. Braindead might be able to have a wonderful shot. Thrash doesn't see him. A Rolling Thunder is going to push everyone away from C main, but Braindead is in the perfect position.
Oh my God, Braindead. There's no way. That's just a swing. And I have to be honest with you, the adjustments that we've seen out of Rochester have been massive so far in this first half, right? We saw kind of some tentative play. We saw some quick hits on B that don't work. They call that timeout after a failed eco into their buy round. And it just, like you said, it was like watching a different team. And one of those rounds theoretically shouldn't have been lost in the first place. This should be a 6-6 half.
That's right. And, you know, mistakes have been made, but they're made up for. Rochester closing things out, just giving it a 2-round disparity. So if they win this pistol and then close it up with the anti-eco, this is going to be an equalized game. But now we're having an opportunity to look at what Weber can do on the offense. Doesn't Boot is actually insane when it comes to those first blood potentials, and the speed that I'm expecting once things actually get popping off this raised double satchel is going to be supersonic.
I would not be surprised in the least, as Jalen here with the default ghost is actually going to land some shots. So Doesn't Boot going to get the first death there instead of the first blood, and it's causing a quick rotate over to the C site. We're going to have middle here. He's going to be spotted. Oh, that is just, oh my, the right click. Free gun BTW, able to take that down. Usopp's going to find another. It's a rotate and spike, not going to be found. Here's Katie Bird trying to find just anything here. It is a 3v2, however. You can play time here if necessary, but Usopp has to take just some kind of aggressive hold so the plant can go down, and it does.
Usopp needs to isolate fights, but the way that Rochester's playing, they will not allow that, but now we have one. Zink in the 1v1. They can't fall this time. They won't allow themselves. 74 HP. Katie Bird only one shot away, and Zink will close it out for the clutch. This was so necessary for Weber to extend their lead and not give Rochester an inch to catch up.
Zink is a mad lad. What is that 3K? All headshots as well with that ghost from close range, using the tree to its best potential right there. That was crazy because it looked like Rochester had gained all the space. They had made the read. They got the first blood, and it was looking like they were going to go ahead and transfer that in. That right click, of course, from middle was insane as well, right? You are blind. You're activating your nano swarm, and then you just go ahead and hit the right click button, and it's there for you. And somehow still Weber State's able to find it. That's just one of those wild things as we see C just getting run down at this point. There's going to be 2 on site here, at least. For Rochester, I don't think it's going to matter much. We're going to have the double satchel in on top of the box. Going to be revealed by the Haunt. However, everybody knows it. However, you don't have the weaponry to deal with much as middle. Somehow going to get out of here with their life and one. And make that. Oh, they're still alive somehow as Usopp's going to pull down Jalen.
He sprays through the smoke. It has to come up with nothing, but Nem comes up dry. Nothing to be given. Usopp, Slayer with the Spectre, and they'll walk away with the 9th round. As it should be. The balance of the anti-eco now brings forth the bonus round. So let's see if they could keep that going and into double digits. But we don't exactly have a perfect buy either when it comes to Rochester. Jelen is going to be worse for wear. Only half shield. Same with Brain Dead. They aren't working with the best stuff, but it should be, and I shall say one more time, Eli, they should be able to walk away with a victory because they have to play those long-range angles. And A, that Weber is eyeing, certainly is a long-range fight.
Yeah, it certainly is, but Braindead's making it a close range fight. Maybe favoring the attackers a little bit. We're going to see if they can find his position out. Obviously, the Shrouded Step probably heard. However, doesn't seem like anybody really knows where they are. And just kind of that holding pattern that we're going to see. There's going to be a nice stun. Oh, here's the opportunity that you needed, but nobody checks it. Doesn't boot goes down. Braindead going to be able to find 2. Make it 3. Do you have more in you? Unfortunately, there is no more attackers for Braindead to be able to take out. That's a great shot right there. And this is going to delay just for a second as Usopp alone in a 1v4 going to have to go. He does have the Bulldog, however, so a little bit of an opportunity here, and just omen things. You're going to TP right into somebody's crosshair, and the defense of Rochester going to be able to hold on to 4 rifles this time against the bonus round, and that is a stark contrast from what we saw in the first half.
That was an absolute disaster since the clock hit 0 for the pre-round. That was such a mess where we were staying. Braindead putting in some great work. Also, I mean, I don't think Jelen meant to do this, but the nade that went back toward them and also stopped Weber from pushing into B site actually worked in their favor. You know, when you keep messing up the nades, some of them are going to be messed up correctly, and that's what happened. But now we got a better situation. Weber with the rifles, looking to have a better time than the previous round.
Yep, little jump spot. Braindead's going to get some chip damage done to him, but I love it when you fail a task successfully. You know, it always feels good when you're able to pull that off. Tree entrance coming out right now. Looks like 1 has found their way in there. Nice breach flash here as well. Going to get Fizz Rain a kill. Here's Katie Bird trying to stay on. Oh my, there's just so much util being dumped onto this A site. Nobody's watching the wingman though. John's going to get the trade onto Braindead, who took it out, and now it's a 1v4. The flank looking like it's going to be coming in from Rochester. However, I really don't think it matters at this point in a 1v4. You have to have that talk about potentially saving a gun. This is your one buy round that you have after, of course, you bought last round. You were able to save 4 rifles, so you have a chance to go for it, Carlos, but I don't know how much you have in this 1v4, especially on the A site with how tight it is.
Well, the timing was perfect because Middle walked right past that alarm bot at the very moment that Zinc got back into range, so it's activated. So they must think that they have a secure flank. No one's looking at it. Fizzrain is more postured towards stairs, but the second I say that, guess who checks it? It's John with the 3K. Wasn't able to watch his Gecko, but he got that get back anyway. And Weber in double digits, in good standing. 2 ultimates to have a much stronger take. I mean, that Shrouded Step, or that from the shadows, could be a wonderful start. I mean, we saw how Braindead was able to use it last half, and it culminated into the 3rd round victory for Rochester, going into a bigger streak after all. So, you know, normally I'm a Omen Ultimate disbeliever, but not this map.
I am as well, but this map is so wide, it just gives you so many opportunities to tuck yourself in a cubby that may not be checked, but oh no. My middle. Are you going to look right? You do, but you don't look right long enough. Usopp going to be able to find the first frag. Nim is going to be able to get the trade, however, and we're going to get the attacker Killjoy going down onto the C site. Are they going to rotate to B off of this? No, they're just going to kind of hold. This might be a fake, though. Nobody taking space off of this just yet until the very end of the Killjoy. So that lockdown gets popped. No players detected. It's going to be 2 from flank, 2 from the top of site. We're going to see what they can get done. Turret spotting out Katie Bird early here as they look to go ahead and swing. We're also going to see that breach flash coming out just to kind of stop the push. And oh my, the bullying is happening right now on long. It's now at 3v4.
Doesn't stays alive. That would have been the best scenario, but Braindead actually with a Shrouded Step on top of the box removed them from their head. Now it's a problem though. Jelen hoping to clear out the rest of them, and they will. Wonderful stuff out the raise, a 3K for them. Rochester continues to whittle away the disparity, 10-7. They're still well within the bounds for a comeback, and they didn't have to use any ultimates.
You know what the biggest thing for me is? If you're going to plant deep like that in that position, you have to be in a post-plant position to be able to defend the defuse, right? As soon as they see its back sight, basically planted on the top of what used to be stairs and is now a ramp, you immediately know that that defense is going to be very, very hard to go ahead and come back in for the offenders and be able to take that spike. It's just one of those things where it doesn't look like a big deal in the first part of it, but it ends up being a big deal, as now we're going to see not the best buy coming out here for WSU. As look at this stack towards the A side, it looks like it's red hard. There's a showstopper as well. Jalen's going to be taken down. Did he find any value out of that is my question. I'm not sure if he did.
I don't think so. Usopp, though, in a bad position. They've been forced on the side of rubble. However, there's backup, and we can see that Rochester, they're giving some space. They're not making a strong commitment here because they need to spread out and have diversity in their holds. John going to go onto the site proper, and they'll hold things down, slow it down. No need to commit any lives just yet.
I mean, there hasn't been a commitment from the offense into a site either, so you might as well hold. Make sure you retain your map control that you currently have, and it's looking like a slow back out of rubble is going to be occurring right now. It's the smokes biome and those dark covers going to be used to block off the A site entirely. Now it's just a question of where they end up going. Are they going to try to hit B here with the Omen there? Are they going to try to go C once again and try to run through the Killjoy utility? And it looks like B is going to be the answer. Remember, they do not have the best weaponry right now either. So coming into the B site where currently nobody is holding is your best bet. You do not want to go up against that KJ utility as John has an opportunity here. We're going to get the stun out. Braindead's going to be able to find the opening pick and bail off. You give up the plant here. You play the retake together as a team as Braindead going to find some chip damage here, but not much. And there is Thrash coming out. Going to be able to find one. Not able to find the second. The plant is going to go down, but is going to be taken out quickly as there is Usopp falling, and Rochester is bringing this back bit by bit.
We were suffering these last few rounds. Rochester is certainly on another level that we've been waiting for. And perhaps this is the map that they add, or the series where they add 2 maps to their scoreline. Maybe even a 3rd map victory. You know, I'm looking at the stats from the previous maps and series, and this looks like a very competent team. This looks like a formidable squad that can put things back together. Maybe we have a 1-3 record for the season after this series. I have some hopium is basically what I'm trying to say. There's hopium in my veins. But now, a Spectre or a Stinger in the hand of Fizrain, that is looking to be very interesting. They want to play it fast and loose on B site.
Oh my, the explosion. You were talking about dozen boot going in quick, but 2 return frags are going to be found immediately. Here's the showstopper pop. Not going to be able to find anybody with it. However, is John going to be able to take out Jalen? We're going to get 1 cease currently. There's a shot. Dozen boot comes out of it alive somehow. Defender Killjoy is still here, though. Spike is down. Are they going to be able to get out in time? No, it's going to be the lockdown destroyed. Katie Bird now in a 1v2. Do they know that Fizrain has made it all the way to the top of site? It looks like they do. They're going to go ahead and check this. They're making a lot of noise here, though. So it might be found. This is going to be the swing right here. Peeker's advantage not going to be in their favor. Fizrain holds the angle, gets the kill, and now Weaver State has clawed back just a slight bit of that momentum.
Yeah, perfect post plant for Fizrain as well as John on the other side. A tough situation because you forced middle to jump up through there.
Right there.
Or rather, Katie Bird to jump up through there, try and clear everything, make it as much noise as possible because the time has been ticking. That's the advantage that comes out from the wingman plant. So you get that early, so the clock is going faster and faster. More time is being spent just trying to take out everybody because you have an extra gun that's defending the planter. Now we have a much faster round. This might be the fastest route that we've seen towards Seaside, but every piece of utility for Killjoy is right here.
Doesn't matter, however, whenever you're coming into a rolling thunder. The turret's getting displaced, everything's getting displaced. There's some chip damage coming out. Braindead just walks through the smoke and gets chopped down at the knees. However, Nim's going to be able to find one and get traded instantly, and now numbers heavily favoring WSU. Are they going to be able to get the kill? Middle going to be gone. Katie Bird now alone in a 1v4. This might be the pivotal map. There is not a lot of economy left right now for Rochester. You're going to be able to find this. Somehow gets across the sight lines on the first one. Here's the swing. John going to be able to find the kill early. And that is a successful take. And just honestly, the quick hitter that you needed, right? We've seen them kind of default out, be a little bit more passive. And when you're able to change that pace that you have, it just kind of throws defenses for a loop sometimes.
Speaking of being thrown for a loop, now it's time for Rochester to run on that timeout. They don't have much time left. That is 1 round away for WSU to take the first map of the series. And honestly, we have to give some props back to WSU for being able to run such a fast and loose composition. That's how they went over onto B-site in the previous round, where it was the 2v1 against Katie Bird. Being so quick is how they blew up C-site, despite all of the pieces of utility from Zinc, or Middle rather, sitting there waiting for them, and they just run through because they can. And that's a problem that you run into when you're a Killjoy going up against a Omen as well as a Raze. They can circumvent that utility with ease. I mean, it costs 1 from them, and everything for you. Follow it up with the attempt. I also have to say, straight up from Brain Dead, coming out of the smoke with that stinger, a Chad move, but they just weren't well equipped for this fight. And now this is the last opportunity, the last bastion for Rochester to come back through, and they are not looking great in the equipment department. Bulldogs, Guardians, Stingers, what can they do? They have to win this fight initially. 3 players, potentially 4, at the ready to defend A.
And it's going to be rough. You're going to see that Paranoia being burned off the start just to buy a little bit of space. A deep smoke as well. So I like this, right? You do have a one way that you can throw on that A door. However, you're going to go ahead and just smoke it straight off. And look at this regroup. We're hitting C once again. However, it's not Killjoy here this time. It's going to be Jalen. Has the Bulldog in hand. How many of these 5 can you get is the real question. Here's the swing. Not able to find Dozen Boot. Does get quite a bit of chip damage there. The Bulldog headshot is going to take him down to 35. However, Sight completely overrun at this point. Spike not down until Wingman decides to plant, and look at all the space they're taking in CT.
What is going on here? This is such a deep placement, and no one is
no.
looking back. No one is looking back. Fizz right has the flank.
Oh, Fizz with 1. Nim actually going to shut this one down. Make it to, oh my, okay. That looked like it was a disastrous situation. They're going to get guns out of this and even it up. 3-3. John going to go ahead and pop the Thrash, but it's not going to be found. However, Usopp and John going to find 2 kills. It's going to be Nem alone. Does not have Dizzy to use. Going to go ahead and shoot the turret and not find anything else. It's going to be Weber State winning map number 1, 13-8. And oh my, Rochester really showed a lot of just adaptation, a lot of resolve there to bring that back from how it looked at the start. However, it just wasn't enough. Weber just decided, hey, we're going to hit sites, we're going to hit them hard, we're going to hit them quick, and we're going to see how you react. Unfortunately enough for Rochester, they weren't able to pull through after that adjustment.
Yeah, for the last round, I think that really personified the meme of it's so over when they take the site, and then we're so back when the flank gets destroyed, and then immediately after the rest of Rochester dies, we're so over again. But, you know, you have to give props. Well fought. Definitely one of the better showings that we've seen from Rochester so far. But Weber going to take the first map of Lotus, but this series is far from over. We're going to be heading over to Icebox next, so don't go anywhere. ECAC Valorant returns right after this.
Hello and welcome back to Esports U. Of course, we're presenting ECAC Valorant. We saw a wonderful map 1 on Lotus, but we're going to Icebox next, Carlos. I'm definitely excited to see what that's going to bring.
Yeah, I think it should be definitely a good time. I love this rendition of Icebox much better than the previous, and I think it allows for very crafty, very interesting, fast plays. If I know anything about Dozen Boot, which we just saw, get a nice 5 first bloods, wonderful movement to allow Weber State University to open things up, take their first map, Icebox. It's not really gonna be in the common collegiate rotation when it comes to map selection, is it, Eli? I mean, what are you thinking about this? I think it's a breath of fresh air, a cold breath of air, but still a fresh one.
It's definitely something fresh and definitely something different, and I'm not gonna knock that at all. As a caster, I'm very excited. Personally, however, Icebox being back, not the biggest fan. Not the biggest fan personally. A lot of verticality, but at the same time, B site still somehow remains unchanged from forever ago, and I just question that specifically because, like, if you don't have the Sage, right, you kind of risk a lot, or you have to run double controller, or what I've seen now is using the Harbor Cove to kind of replace that Sage wall because it still gets you the same kind of protection. However, it gives you more post-plant utility than a Sage does. So if you have to burn an agent's utility to be able to safely plant on a site, I think it's a little bit of bad map design, to be honest with you.
You know, I've got nothing to say about that, but speaking of things that are in control, I want to talk about Middle from Rochester, who has definitely stepped up as the map has gone on. Not exactly the best performance in the beginning half of Lotus, but I believe that through a warm-up of consistent fragging, you know, they may be able to have a much better, stronger start in the beginning of Icebox, which is definitely going to be necessary. And now we can see through the agent selection, we have an adjustment of controllers. Katie Bird previously on the Fade, now moving back to a comfort pick of Viper. So I'm wondering, going back to that conversation of how exactly do players perform differently on their different roles, on their agents? Katie Bird did a pretty good job on the Fade, but I'm wondering how much better can they do on the Poisoner?
Yeah, and if that is a comfort pick for Katie, I'm kind of questioning why you don't run it on Lotus, right? There's a bastion of pro playbooks to take from using double controller, of course, with Omen and Viper, or Omen and Harbor, and that map has been played every which way, but it almost always involves double controllers at the professional level. So I kind of question if that is the comfort pick, why wasn't it previously run in the last map? Because we see people taking, like, from Fnatic, right, with that Fade on there and only having a single controller, not realizing that Fnatic is like a super team of super teams, and all 5 of them can aim like crazy and frag like crazy, right? In a collegiate space, you're not really allowing yourself to cover your weaknesses in situations like that where you have to play a comp perfectly. So I do like seeing this. However, I love seeing the Harbor Viper combo coming out of Weber State. I mentioned it already as far as replacing the Sage. I think it is a genius plan, and I think it just works a little bit better in the context of how Valorant is looking currently to be able to utilize those 2 controllers.
Yeah, I think we're looking at your preferred composition here. Definitely, I want to know how that's going to play out against the classical Sage on Nem. Nem also switching around. Everyone is playing a little bit of musical chairs in terms of roles that they're bringing out. Brain Dead, previously on the Omen, now on the Sova. Nem on the Gecko, now on Sage. This is just a lot of maneuverability, fluidity in agent selection. But now we're about to get things popping over on A site.
Yep, it's looking like just your classic ace. Oh, that is a great shock dart coming in. It's going to take quite a bit of damage off of Jelen. So good job right there, being able to get some chip damage and kind of just stop the push for half a second. You also got the tailwind off the Jet, so that's going to be massive as you look towards the mid now, going back towards the B site. It's going to be just a lone Killjoy here currently, and you already see Middle was kind of just scoping it out earlier as the flank rotation now coming in. There's going to be a ton of people trying to come out and flood this site just to take care of it, as once you commit to that rotate, especially on Icebox, it is a long road to get back.
Ooh, that Poison Orb. That's going to be punishing all the advantage that came from the early mover, early rotation to plant this spike is completely gone, but Katie Bird with a snake bite, no less, is going to be the one to find the first kill.
I wasn't even able to see where that snake bite landed. I guess it was over there just kind of covering that spot. Oh, great shock dart right there as well. Nim's going to be able to take one, make it two down, try to get the plan. Okay, Jalen going to be taken down here as Zink's able to find one of their own. But now it's going to be Rochester in a 3v1, and there is not a lot of health left on Zing. We're going to see what they're able to do in a 1v3. Other two at full health. I got to say, this is almost impossible here with 8 HP, and unfortunately I'm right. Nim's gonna be able to find 3 just off of basically fake plants. They were on the side of the wall that was broken. They were just able to pop off and right click a couple people.
Yeah, it's pretty wild for Rochester to be able to pull that one off. Every advantage that it seemed was under their control was lost based off of the poison orb coming out from Vizrain. You'd think with the constant anti or the negation of safety from the Sage Wall, you have that snake bite that could come out and instantly kill a planter, and it gave time for the rest of Weber to come through and give support. But certainly they must have just been taking some bad angles, some very antsy looks that allowed Nem to clean the heck up off Sage.
It was just a phenomenal job right there. I'm about to see the standard wall probably come onto B site. We're going to go ahead and utilize the dart as well. And there, in fact, is that Viper wall going to come in. Sage wall there for the plant. Actually going to get this at an angle this time to try to stop it and shut it down. Braindead going to stick this plant. It's very dangerous. However, luckily enough, there's a ton of people there to cover him. Spike is going to go down. And here we go. Post plant on B site Icebox. It's everybody's favorite, as Middle's going to be able to find one with the Outlaw.
Interesting picking up the Outlaw. I'm not convinced by it yet, but is there going to be convincing necessary? Braindead with a 3K off. Oh, the quick swap to use the Ghost as well to pick up 2 off the Stinger. Rochester feeling just fine taking that anti-eco.
It's a phenomenal job. Again, they're able to get the plant down, and we saw the Cove come out, and what does Braindead do? Braindead does the Braindead thing and just rushes into the Cove and finds 2 and then swaps out to the Ghost and gets the 3rd. It's just a magnificent round, an ability of recognizing the space that's being created by that utility and just reflecting that and taking it right on back. So for Braindead, great job. You have a decent buy coming into this bonus as well. You have an Outlaw, so if anybody's on light shields, which I don't believe they are, but it's something you have to look out for since you saw the kill on it last round, as one is going to be spotted out here as Doesn't Boot over here in Nest. Just waiting here, seeing if anybody will peek. It's going to be a slow peek here. Oh, Jalen's going to be able to find the shot, and one was, in fact, on that light shields, and that's where the Outlaw shines.
Yeah, I was previously questioning, but there is the answer. Taking out anyone who thinks it's wise to not bring out the full shields. That's honestly a major fear-inducing weapon. And if someone's rocking with that, you can't afford to go for the cheaper option. If you want a rifle, you're going to have to settle for a Bulldog and take the full shields.
Yeah, and especially when, when Jelen is hitting their shots like that, it's just difficult to deal with. We didn't really see a lot of operator. We didn't see a lot of sniper rifle being utilized on Lotus. We come here now, we're going to start seeing a lot more of that with the long sight lines on Icebox. And John over here in the corner. Uh-oh, that is not a safe place. That's all I have to say about that. The wall doesn't cut him off, and John's able to find one through the gap. Plant trying to come down right now. We're also going to see a nano swarm coming. Middle's actually going to find one on the flank, but be taken down immediately by Fizzrain. And now 2v2, and this is seeming more and more likely potentially for WSU to be able to convert this rifle round. It's going to be difficult though with Nim being here full health. Here's John on the rope, going to be spotted. Now 1v2. Here's the opportunity. You get the res as well for Braindead. Now a 1v3. It's going to be so difficult for Fizz. Oh, but he finds one, make it 2, and he isn't able to swing the 3rd onto Nim. Honestly, phenomenal effort there by Fizzrain. Unfortunately, not able to convert, and the bonus is going to go in favor of Rochester.
That's a huge victory for Rochester. Now they can bring out all the rifles that they want, all the shields that they need. Hunter's Fury also at the ready. Let's talk about that. That was a round 3 resurrection. Can you believe that? Nem popping off in the early stages of Icebox, and they want to keep things going. This is almost the reverse of what we saw on Lotus. Such a big explosive start for Rochester. Weber State gonna have to step up. Sheriffs across the board. They got to lay down the law if they want any chance of winning the Frozen Tundra.
And I swear here, I feel like this is Sentinels versus 100 Thieves right now, just for the sheer fact that we saw Rochester actually pick Lotus, lose their map, and they go up 3-0 early over here on the pick. from Weber State. It's very interesting as Usopp is somehow able to find 2 here. Sight is not going to be, or Bomb's not going to be able to go down. Here is the plant's opportunity. However, those 2 deaths were so deep in sight that you lost weaponry, and Fizzrain's going to find a 3rd with the sheriff here. And this is the round Weber State potentially wins. It's going to be all sheriffs, and you're able to find a way to win this one out. It's crazy.
This is unbelievable. Walls back up. Information not quite gained from that recon dart, but this is going to be such a difficult fight with such little health on Nem. 80 Bird has to take that first initial look, and that will be a horror show. Nem now locked in the 1v3 with 33 HP. Spotted off by John. There's not much they could do on that one. The Thrifty victory is here, Eli.
The Thrifty has certainly arrived. Run from it. Hide from it. It is inevitable. Nem, however, there was a small gap in that wall too, and this is just something I want to highlight, right? You talk about different people being flexible on different agents. The gap in the wall in round number 2 almost led to just it being disaster for, of course, Rochester. Now you see a small gap there that, you know, you kind of have to play around as Nem. So you talk about that flexibility, but sometimes it leads to just these tiny literal, like, we're talking pixels of mistakes that might come out as well because of it. It's great to be flexible, but sometimes the comfort picks just allow you to be able to play your game and not have to focus on the rest.
Exactly, yeah. One who's actually much more comfortable, capable on Sage, it becomes instinct, knowing exactly where to let go. Kind of like lineups, you know exactly where to do it, you know where to aim, when to activate it. You don't need to think too much and stop and stare. But now we have 2 players sitting in the back of A site, staring at either angle, waiting for something to pop off, waiting for anyone to make a move.
Got the dueling drones going on right now. We know that John is going to be on the A site just because of the presence of the drone. We also, of course, find another as still kind of just that waiting game, right? Ticking down the clock. You have a little bit of control over on A. You're kind of peeking mid. Nobody has really made any aggressive moves there. Kind of allows this kind of just to be a hard default on both sides. We have 2 people on B. Now, mid looking like it's going to be tagged up a little bit. That window is going to come into play here because you see the Harbor basically staring at this. Usopp might have the chance. No, it's going to be Zinc actually playing on box here. Going to be taken down by who else? It's going to be Nem. Now Usopp looking to take the space. Are you going to check the window on time? Oh my God, the timing is ridiculous on this, and Katie Bird's just going to be able to walk right on through as Nem finds the 2nd kill.
Search destroyed. Perhaps that's going to be the signal. Dozen! They do not miss out on this opportunity. 13 seconds left. They have to get the spike down now, and they will. Rochester has to back up or get a better position to close this one out.
Oh, my brain dead has the opportunity here, but he's going to take an early shot over here off of the gun barrel being spotted. Great shock dart, though. That's going to be dangerous. Going to be able to find 1. We're also going to get the Reckoning used as well, so you have to move off of your spot. It's a great use of the ultimate there. Usopp just going to solidify this round for Weber State.
Oh my God, that was a breath-halting moment where maybe we're gonna see Braindead pull out a double kill on the shock dart. No, not quite, and that comes with just the antsiness, the so spread out post-plant situation. And we didn't see Rochester play together. They fell apart quite in different positions, and an unfortunate end for them. I mean, they've been struggling. They've been fighting these rounds, but it has been Weber State University coming back, making the correct plays, and they're about to have 4 ultimates at the ready. Operator now in Dozen Boots' hand. Nothing of the sort for Rochester in turn.
Look at the aggressive peek as well. Going to be able to find 1 onto Jalen. That's how you start out a round right there. We're going to see that recon bolt being thrown towards the back of sight. Going to spot a couple. The aggressive peek here doesn't boot. Not able to land the shot, though. Going to make it a 4v4. Wide swing while reloading with the Stinger is brain dead. As Usopp going to be able to clean a couple up. Jalen going to be able to find another onto Usopp here. One's going to be tagged. Nice use of the smoke there as 1 goes up to Rides. It's going to be 2 left alive for Rochester right now. Make that 1 as John finds another kill up there in Nest. Actually, Katie Bird, I guess that wasn't relayed where Jalen fell, unfortunately, because not even looking towards that Nest. It's going to be tied up 3-3, and now the economy is going to be in shambles, basically, for Rochester. You're going to be in the cycle of sin and deliverance right now. You're going to be able to buy one round, and you're going to have to be forced to save the next unless you start stringing some effort together.
Not much for them to work off of. I mean, they do have that Hunter's Fury for Brain Dead, but most of their hits when it comes to A. Now, in these previous rounds, they take heavy casualties on the entrance. There's no clean sight takes coming out of this squad. And perhaps they just got to run it a little bit slower, or quite the opposite, a whole lot faster, so there's no opportunity for communication relays to allow more reinforcements to come through.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can deal with it multiple ways, right? And that's one of the things that makes Valorant as a game so great, is there is a million different ways to go ahead and try to play this game. We're going to see the drone coming out, actually going to be able to tag Usopp, get him off. Oh, here comes the Hunter's Fury. First shot missed. Usopp's going to get away, potentially scot-free, and he is. He's not going to be tagged up much at all. Middle is going to be found, almost taken down by Tommy the Turret, not going to have a lot of health. 9 HP remaining as Usopp going to be able to find Middle finally and clear out that problem. As the defender Killjoy coming out, Doesn't Boot taking out a second, as Braindead's going to be able to get a trade, but he's going to fall despite it. And because of that, you've already used that Hunter's Fury. You're getting locked down. You're getting pushed off of any potential defense on the post plant. And this is going to be tough sledding ahead right here. Katie Bird just has to swing, unfortunately, there in the 1v3. Going to lose it. And that's 4 rounds in a row for Weaver State.
Dozen's going crazy off the operator right now. You know, there's nothing much to be said besides that. Now that there's free movement, free ability to get around as they please with the jet, you never know where this sniper rifle is going to be. And it has moved once again over on B site. That's the fear. That's just the major threat that comes from a jet op, or previously when that was a reigning terror, the chamber on Icebox. When you have a very mobile sniper rifle, it's very hard to counter that because you don't know where to send out any walls. There's no flashes on Weaver State either, so what can they do to stop this?
I mean, the answer is basically nothing, right? Especially when you have the ult on top of 410 coming out. Oh, that's one way to flush it out. Go ahead, pop the lockdown. Go ahead and see if you can force, of course, the Viper here playing in their own pit, and she might actually just decide to sit up top as well. That's one of the things where, you know, your location may not be known. 2 are going to swing through, and there it is. Jalen luckily going to be able to get the trade. However, Fizzrain was able to take out 1 before they were detained. Another one also detained, going to push through the wall there. Good use of the dash. Also, we're going to see a Hunter's Fury used without any prior information. Not any damage found with it either, so that's quite interesting. Is Jalen going to find 2 here? Oh my, going to dropped on here.
Oh!
Dozen, who's gonna find another one with the Blade Storm. Caddy's gonna have a second, making a throw. Oh my, Dozen Boot, what are you doing, son? That's a 1v1. Turns the op shot into the Blade Storm and just crushes the dreams of Rochester.
Oh my god, what was I saying? Dozen Boot is going bananas right now. Almost had a dozen kills as well. 11-5 off the operator. This is insanity. And I'm loving every second of it. 5 rounds in a row for WSU, and there is no strategy that they're trying to figure out. Even when they employed that lockdown, it didn't exactly give them the free sight. I mean, it looked real good in the beginning with Jelen able to take down 3, but that's all they were able to muster up. It was a quick and succinct fire back, but now we're about to find that again. This is the dumbest angle for an op I've ever seen if they're going to play that close, but you know what? I believe in it.
I mean, it's Dozen Boot, right? He doesn't miss. There's the tailwind, allowing the escapability to come into effect once again. I have never seen that angle used, and Nem gonna go ahead and pop the ultimate once again. It's the second one found this round. Middle, not able to find the shots on Usopp either, so might be able to hold a couple people there on A just a little bit longer, allowing that plant to come through. However, everybody's kind of disconjointed right now. You have 2 kind of approaching the B site. You have 2 currently mid, rotating back to B, and of course, you have the lurk from middle here, which makes it a little bit more difficult to deal with as the pre-fire going to be there. I mean, middle, honestly, doing a great job of just keeping 2 people on A. But as soon as they figure out that nothing is going to be there, it's going to be a quick rotation over. And once again, WSU is going to have numbers, even though the Viper's Pit has been committed here to make this a little bit more difficult. As Dozen Boot actually about to fall there. Took quite a bit of damage, but Zing's going to be able to find Nem trying to plant. And there is a great recon bolt as well, allowing Fizzrain to get one. And now, Katie Bird, good luck to you. It's a 1v5 in your own pit, and this is the best situation you could be in a 1v5. However, still not an easy one, that's for certain.
It's a problem when you don't have that spike planted, getting a bit ahead of themselves, putting the pit before the spike, and it's another round going over WSU. There's the dozen for Dozen Boot. easily acquired. But also shout out Middle for being able to put in some work, distracting both Usopp and John over on A site. But as you said, the disconjointed issue of this team is while you had 2 players on one site distracted, you need to send all 4 of your remaining players break into the site, remove their ability to defend, remove their ability to hold these angles, because while they had the numbers advantage, they still went for the same old Sage Wall plant, and it didn't do them any favors whatsoever. Oh god, that's a misclick and a half.
I mean, I've done it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. When I played Jett, I've definitely done that before. But Usopp going to go ahead and play a bit off of this Viper wall, just having a little head glitch. Going to get some pre-fire action in. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, essentially, as we're going to see the Reckoning coming out once again. You see the dart here as well. Shock dart's going to come in. John's going to be able to find one onto middle. Plant not down yet, as Zinc going to go ahead, throw this over the top, bounce that off the ceiling, and see if they can get it to land in time. Plant is going to come down, but Fizz Rain, oh my, the flank not prepared for whatsoever. It's going to be Fizz Rain with 2. Braindead's going to be able to find one with a Stinger here. It's going to be difficult to deal with. Oh my, okay, Braindead's turning this into a possibility. 46 HP, 1v2, spike down and not halved. It's going to make it that much easier, but Usopp is going to shut down those hopes and dreams quickly, and it's going to be 7 rounds consecutively for Weber State.
Nice use of that cove. That also saved the 2 remaining players from being spotted by the recon dart. Even if there was a major advantage in terms of a quick kill coming out from Usopp, just the denial of vision is going to be a major thing, because that's how Sovas thrive. Thrive of knowing exactly where their opponents are, using the recon, using the Hunter's Fury. That's how they win. And using a simple denial like that might not seem like a crazy maneuver, but it did give them the ultimate advantage. Now, still 7 rounds to 3. I mean, we've seen a previous scoreline run up. If Rochester is able to take down the last 2, they still have quite a bit of game left ahead of them, and it makes things that much easier when it's only a 2-round disparity, but doesn't. Brand new angle off it.
The man's disgusting. I don't know what else to say about it right there. You just push through the orb. That's just total disrespect and a total belief in your ability to hit operator shots. That's all it is right there. And oh my, how are you alive right now? Usopp not able to find anything, but still has their life as they get tagged with this recon bolt. Middle's going to be able to take him down, but it's going to be a 3v1 trade. And right now it's Nem alone. Everybody is gone, and there's going to be Dozen pulling down the 3K to make this an 8-3 half.
That just had to have been Usopp trolling. No one in their right mind at this level is going to hold down the trigger for that long.
Just spraying, walking backwards too, not just holding it down for that long, not trying to spray control, just walking backwards going, yeah, I'm just laying down some fire here. It is what it is. Looking like Cyril Figgis right there with a nice, just basically suppressing fire while they fall back and at least keep their life.
Like someone's gonna pick up the kill. It doesn't have to be me. Oh no, return of the angle. It's back again. Surely this couldn't work 2 times. Could it? Oh, it's actually failed twice. The forward dash.
Just the classic Asuna overheat right there after you find a couple in a round. Love to see it. Oh my, just walking through it. Does not care about the Viper Orb, as this Rochester looking like a totally different team. Unfortunately, the wall is going to fall. Is John going to be able to take out 2 here from Snowman? 3v2, still numbers here for UR, and it's going to be Nem returning to what they were able to accomplish before the swing coming out, and Jalen going to be able to get this one out. Get down, John, make it an 8-4 half, and Icebox is volatile, to be honest with you, Carlos. Like, it can be super attacker sided, it can be super defender sided, so I'm excited to see what WSU can bring. However, they only do have that single controller, so it might be a little bit difficult for Rochester to hold versus the double controller that we saw earlier.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how we can have active Cascade. I'm actually just thinking, like, did we see many Harbor Smokes to begin with? I'm trying to rack my brain. Like, have we seen anything? Nothing.
Yeah. I hadn't seen a wall. I haven't seen a I haven't seen Cascades being utilized. Now, they're on defense, so it makes a little bit more sense, but I didn't really see much of anything used at all, to be honest with you. That's actually a great point.
Well, they're only using half of their power. What does Usopp have once we have the Cascades, once we have the High Tide actually being utilized?
Get the ability to default to wall, however. There it is. Okay, so we're going to double wall here. We're going to throw down the Viper wall. We're going to use the High Tide to get in the first time. Nice little stage wall here to delay just a little bit, but Doesn't Boot has a very strong position here. Cove going to go down. Plant going to be there. And one inside the Cove to protect as well, but Katie Bird going to be able to find two. Now it's a 3v3. This is just pandemonium, and I'm surprised to see the B site being utilized as much as it is right now, as Dozen able to find one, but traded out almost immediately. Spike's still not down. A minute to go. There is a ton of time to work with. However, both people in Rochester relatively low compared to their Weber State counterparts.
Balls gelling the last one alive, putting in some damage, peppering away at the final two. But they're playing together. They will not allow 1v1s for Dylan, but that's exactly what Dylan's gonna get. Ultimately, it is John who walks away as the victor. A close call to be certain, and this is most definitely going to end in a double-digit scoreline for Weber. They've got the anti-eco, they've got the Spectres, and they've got the willingness to make some ridiculous plays.
I don't disagree with you, but we've seen crazier things happen, like Nim, the way he played the first couple of rounds in the last half. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a 3K with the Sheriff if he decides to buy one. It's looking like he is going to scoop up a Sheriff as well. We're also going to see a Marshal here for Jelen. So I mean, potential. You have to find a couple of impact frags early, and unfortunately Jelen going to be pushed off of the angle relatively early. Are you going to be able to get a shot off? The answer is no. Going to be spotted as well, and now you're just stuck in between a rock and a hard place. You're swung by 5 people. You're not winning that, unfortunately, with just about any gun. As the Cove going to go down, Plant looking to be achieved. Pre-fire here by Nem, not going to find much, as Caddy's able to get one, but not much more than that.
Now we're getting a much better look at how the Viper Harbor smokes can be put in place. It's 2 separate walls of smokes that you have to enter, so you are almost twice as blind to try and make an entry through that barrier. It's that much more difficult. You're slowed and you're also decayed, so everything is working against you, and especially when WSU has much better firepower. It's going to be the bonus round now, but not really a full buy coming out from Rochester. 4 players only going with half shields, potentially not even full utility, as we're going to see. I believe there's no orb, if I'm mistaken, or no snake bites coming out for Katie Bird. No snake bites, that is.
Yep, no snake bites at all. Opting for the full shields, and I mean, Katie Bird has been able to get some frags, but almost been traded immediately, as Usopp's going to be able to find one. And this is just your classic mid-split right here. You're going to see Doesn't Boot be able to get one as well. And I mean, Rochester right now just falling by the wayside. 4v2, just an explosive start to this round. Doesn't Boot in a very aggressive position. Going to try to find middle. Not going to be able to find that, as a couple swinging, trying to get middle off of their game right now. No nano swarms to work with, just having to hold their ground here, as they know 2 have pushed up so far. Not going to find much more, but Tommy the Turret actually going to find Usopp here, and now numbers thinned out a little bit. Now into a 1v2. You got to deal with middle. You also have to figure out where Jelen is currently.
When you push middle in a corner, they definitely can step up. They're good at holding angles, and they were put on defense earlier. Perhaps this would be a different scoreline right now. Jelen on a long-winded pincer maneuver, but only 15 HP. However, at the same time, completely unexpected. But if the rifle's out and a turn is made, Zink might be able to make history. But no, Jelen will put Zink in the history books. Forgotten. At least if you don't think about the 10 rounds they won.
I mean, gone but not forgotten, right? They're going to spawn right back in next round. Welcome to tag-based FPS, where we have rounds and characters never die. Definitely love seeing that play coming out from Rochester, though, especially just the resolve that they have. Carlos, just looking at it, right? And you lose 2 people early, basically in a rifle round versus a bonus. You're able to kind of swing back that momentum, just able to claw it back, able to get the kills. However, you look at the buy coming out from Rochester, and it shows how much damage was actually done to the opposing side as well.
Here we have Dozen. They're going to buy a last minute. No, what are they bringing into it? They're just going straight blades. Interesting. All that money. You know what? I think that might even be in the confidence territory. Bring in the blades. Take someone else's rifle. A lot of smoke to deal with. 2 different cross sections that these teams have to navigate to gain entry. 4 players about to burst onto A site.
Ooh, he's not dead? I'm flabbergasted right now. Somehow Jalen gets away with that, able to get healed by Sage as well, get to 100 HP, and it's just an instant rotate being called. A lot of space being taken in mid by Fizzrain, but it's going to be shut down immediately by Jalen. Sage going to get that assist for the heal. Hey, thanks, buddy. And we're also going to recover a rifle here. Nim using that wall just to take up some space as Doesn't Boot looks to push mid. Going to find a Spectre here. All blades are gone already, so you talked about picking up a gun. Getting a Spectre is definitely not ideal. As the Cove going to drop? Plant opportunity potentially here as Jalen tries to spam that Cove down. Not going to be able to find it, and actually is Zinc going to be taken down. Wall planting. Bomb's not going to be down, and now it's 5v3. This has been a great round so far by Rochester. Is Caddybear going to be able to find Dozen as well?
Stop. Not giving up just yet. One single cascade, but one single shot into the dome is going to put them down. A 3v1 for John. He has to win 3 immediate fights right now if he wants to walk out of this one as a victor, but no. One more kill is all they'll get. Rochester clawing back 6-10. They're not quite done yet, but it seems that everything that could have gone wrong in that previous round, Eli, went wrong. The blades didn't quite connect. Katie had the ultimate timing to take down, I believe it was Dozen again in that moment. Not many things went Weber State's way, and that's how Rochester wants to keep it. Only blades at the ready, and Jelen's gonna try and do something similar that Doesn't Boot tried to pull off in the previous. One hero rifle, though, also needs to be stated. Doesn't Boot not gonna make the same mistake twice.
Definitely not. Yep, gonna go ahead. Oh, actually just tries to fake that and get aggressive here. Gonna be able to find Zing. Bomb is gonna be dropped. So great job of just playing aggressively here. Some blades landing as well, but into a double peek once again as Usopp trying to get onto site. Gonna blast that Cove. However, Recon Bolt gonna spot them, and it's looking like a quick rotate as Fizzrain has been able to gain some space onto A. However, the setup might be found. It's going to be middle getting tagged up for a little bit of damage. Not much as the snake bite used as well just to cut off the rotation and force them to look one way. Fizzrain going to get popped as well by the alarm bot as Nim's able to find one in mid, and that's going to make this that much more difficult. Middle finding 2, make it 3, and that's a round over. And WSU looked like they had a plan, and as soon as they were spotted, they just got off of it, and you are going to be able to take that, only losing one member who is Jalen, and I think they might be able to buy him an op this round as well. So you might see that dynamic jet op on this side, as well as both jets are currently top fragging for their teams.
There it is. But actually, it'll be a purchase for themselves. Middle not going to be so generous, interestingly enough. But as I was saying, you put middle in a corner, and they will strike back a much stronger performance than what we saw back on Lotus. I'm very happy to see the come up from this Killjoy player. And I'm wondering how long will this persist. I hope for a whole lot longer. And Jelen's going to kick things off with a shot on Zinc.
I mean, it's beautiful to see, and you're also using the Sofa there to kind of bait, right? We've seen this angle played multiple times. It's not anything new, as Doesn't Boot, with about 4 members of the team trying to go ahead and take this A site just middle, and I believe Caddy are going to be here currently as Doesn't Boot checks left. He's going to be right behind the cascade. This timing might be ludicrous. However, it's not. Oh my. Katie Bird obviously doesn't have walls like we do. Not able to see how close to a timing that was. Great defender Chiochwe. Lockdown being popped here as well, just to try to clear out a little bit of that post-plant utility to push him back. Actually, we're going to see the counter ult being used by the Sova. However, that's a great 1-for-1 trade. Is Jalen going to be able to find Doesn't Boot here? A couple more used. Actually, another ult burn. It's Jalen popping off with that operator. Usopp last alive here in the corner. Going to be taken down by Katie Bird. Defuse going to be found because the wall was there anyway, and it's going to be 10-8. And Rochester starting to claw their way back on defense.
My God. My God, a nice 3K from John. I think it's just how it works here on Icebox. Anybody who picks up the op on the vendor side will have a masterclass of a game. We're certainly seeing that. If John can keep this up, I'm going to be very satisfied with how much op action there is. I personally love the op because I aspire to be good at it. I'm not there yet, so anytime someone truly has a masterclass of shots, I'm always here for it. This is a desperate round, though, for Weber State. Money's low. They have to win.
We're going to see if they can. Oh, the wall just delays everything, and a great snake bite as well. Are you going to be able to find the Sage? Somehow Nim is able to escape with their life, and that's crazy. The whole mid push has essentially been shut down, but Fizzrain going to be able to find Brain Dead pushing just a little bit too far out of B main. So now the rotate is on. The space in mid is taken Plant going to come down. Nim's going to be able to find one. Are you going to be able to find more? Shot by Jalen. Not going to be able to be found. And we're going to see the Viper's Pit committed here by Weber State. However, it's a 2v4. A lot of stalling utility in between Nano Swarms and Snake Bites, however, as everybody kind of dances around this just bit by bit as Zinc's able to find at least one.
Jelen almost good for 2. Now it's a 1v3? Was the resurrection? No, it's a 1v2. Zinc can still make it out of here.
My Zinc. The swing, the timing was perfect. Luckily, Nim able to go ahead and get the replacement after it was half. And you said Weber State was going to be low on economy after this one. And by God, you were right. It's going to be another save round coming out. We're going to see a couple rifles with light shields come out, a couple of sheriffs as well, which is kind of expected. But look at the money on this side of University of Rochester right now. They are killing it in the economy factor. And Jalen being on this operator, unfortunately did get struck down early last round, but has had massive impact on the 3 rounds previous. And it's just so hard to attack whenever you have an operator on the other side of Icebox.
That comes back again. It's all about relying on walls. Jelen might be walking out with the freebie right in the tummy of Zinc. Perhaps another one will follow up, but being spotted out by the Owl Drone isn't going to give any favors over to the sniper.
Certainly not. Cascade going to block off the sightline as well. Usopp looking to push in. A lot of Killjoy utility being used. Middle's going to be able to find Dozen pushed on the back of sight. And look, one playing in the cove. It's going to be Jalen right here with the shorty just daring somebody to enter in. Going to go ahead and back off of this as well. Nobody on the flank just yet. Going to allow this push to potentially come through. It's just a standard retake scenario. 4v2 now as Nim's going to be able to find John. It's going to make it that much more difficult. Cascade coming out. Usopp just playing on the backside of Jenny on this corner. Going to be very hard to find, especially as it's a 1v4. The shorty's going to come out. Jalen's going to go down, but your middle going to be able to find the cleanup. Operator going to be recovered as well. And now we're in a tie game.
At least Usopp didn't die to the shorty. I think that's all that could be taken as a consolation prize. You don't die to that. All right? But now, this is really crunch time when we're talking about Weber State. They have been on a horrible streak. But it also comes down to the fact that Rochester, they suffered the same fate back when they were on attack as well. This is kind of just an issue that you're going to run with how Icebox is set up. It's much more easy to defend if you could have things that prevent your opponents from getting the quick and easy plants. Because if you can get that plant fast, that's going to give you a lot of time for the post plant. You could prep. You could easily back up. But no one's going to be backing up here. 3 players are welcoming Weber State on A site.
Good use of cascades here to kind of get some space open. We're going to see a cove going down. We're going to see plant dropping as well. Nope, it's going to be the nano swarms already predetermined, pre-set up by Rochester to kind of delay the plant to start off with. And now we have the flood coming in for the retake. It's going to be the cascade blocking everybody off right now. Dozen Boot's going to be able to find one, and it's just going to be chaos as Zinc's able to find middle as well. Trades abound, but it ends up in a 1v3. Now you do have the Hunter's Fury to use. Do you use it for the plant, however, is the real question, knowing that the spike is down. Nobody attempting to plant just yet. There's going to be the one right there. You're trying to isolate these fights as much as humanly possible. To step up, going to be able to find one, but John's going to be able to get the takedown. And after 6 rounds consecutively, Rochester finally drops one.
Yeah, that's such a difficult way to try and take a retake for John, as so much time has passed in terms of, or rather, brain dead. So much time has passed, or is able to be passed, with 50 seconds left. There could even be a rotation if Weber State wanted to go bring it back to B site. They can have so many different lineups, so many different angles being put for a post plant. There's not much that you could do. But kind of take the fight as early as possible. Unfortunately, it just wasn't going to work out with the 2 sight lines that locked right onto Brain Dead. But now, they have tools. Viper's Pit, Lockdown, Hunter's Fury. They can make it happen, all in conjunction with Jelen's op.
On top of that, you have the Blade Storm on the opposing side as well, and just the Blade Storm, as this little crevice is going to be able to be found by Jelen, but not going to be able to find anything off of it. Dashing into the Nano Swarm is going to be Dozen Boot, and this is going to be a full retake scenario coming out from UR. It's going to be a 5v5 retake, and we get another Defender Killjoy being popped right now, and nobody is really taking space mid, but look at this lurk coming out from Weber State. The Viper all the way in B site, in B main currently. This is going to be deadly. There's Fizz Rain with 1. Are they going to be able to find any more as Dozen Boot goes ahead and pushes in off of that defender Killjoy being able to be destroyed. Oh my, a Kacker Killjoy. Everybody is just falling by the wayside. There's going to be one left alive. It's going to be Zinc with a classic to claim 3 kills, and WSU plays that to perfection.
That all hinges on Fizzrain's long lurk, going all the way around B-side. After you set up your utility, getting out the Poison Orb, getting out the Viper Wall, it makes Rochester think everyone is here. No one's coming mid. We have utility set up to watch that. We have a player ready to watch that. No one's coming up that way. But coming all the way around from B-side, Fizzrain stopped Braindead from finishing off the lockdown using the Hunter's Fury. Getting a kill before that's destroyed, it doomed everybody else on Rochester to a fate worse than death. The lockdown, knowing you're going to die seconds later. And now they only need one more round to finish it off. But look at the push up mid from Rochester already.
They're looking to take space just like that space was taken by Weber State last round, getting aggressive here. And I don't think there's a lot of utility behind them just because, I mean, obviously they have the Killjoy, but it doesn't look like anything is there as Spike is going to get dropped by Middle here. So Spike's going to go down. Middle has the instant trade. And does anybody know that Jalen is here currently? That's going to be the real question. Able to find one with the blades, make it 2. Trades go back the other way. Swing onto John, not going to be able to find one. There's Middle there to help with the trade, but Usopp alone. 1v1 versus a Bucky. It's going to be Jalen. Do you have the angle? You have a shot. It's not going to be a lot of damage over on the rope. Just trying to play around. Unfortunately, not going to be able to land it. Usopp is going to get this done. It's going to be WSU taking a nail biter of an icebox on their pick a map and another weekly win to bring them to 3-1.
Yeah, that was such a close matchup. I want to talk about the duel between Dozen Boot and Jelen. The two of these Jet players had so much impact for either of their teams. They were on the brink. I mean, even that Bucky might have clutched things out. It could have won, but unfortunately in the end, it was going to be Usopp who steps up in the final round to win that, stopping us from heading over to Split. I know for a fact if we headed over to Split, if this went into OT, if this was a possibility for Rochester to lay their claim on Split, it would have been a major victory. Not just in that they win the series, but they give us a mother load of a great game. This was such a phenomenal come up from Rochester, who started off incredibly slow, didn't give us too much to work with, were very, I would say, underwhelming in terms of their attacks when we were first looking at Lotus. Not able to do much in the first half on their attacks here on Icebox, but they stepped it up. It's a slow burn of a team, but they burned hot in the end. Unfortunately, they were snuffed. And if I'm going to give a special shout out to one player, it's got to be Middle in terms of the most improved across the series. Very slow start, kind of a simile to what we see for the team at large. Very slow start, but when you put them in a corner, like we saw here on Icebox, they can shine like no other. Again, it's going to be Weber State University taking the victory. Congrats to them, but you got to at least admit, this team is heating up.
They looked much better. There was a much more competitive Icebox than, you know, honestly, I thought, because we looked at Lotus being Rochester's map pick, right? You drop that map, you're going on to Weber State's choice of Icebox. So you're thinking, okay, well, they lost their map pick. What's it going to look like? And just immediately, you know, it's an 8-4 half. You turn it around and they win 6 rounds in a row on defense. It's like, oh, things are looking up. Like Rochester's actually looking like they have a cohesive plan for Icebox as well. So, you know, maybe the pick bans worked out for them today. Maybe they have better strats, of course, for those kind of off meta maps that we talked about, you know, coming into the broadcast about how Ascent and Split and Bind always seem to be played. This was refreshing to see. We got to see different compositions. We got to see different ideas being thrown out. And I have to give it to Jelen as well. Being able to match Dozen Boot on First Bloods here on Jet on Icebox, I think that's massive. And if they can start out like games like they finish them, they're just going to massively improve. And you know what? It could also just be a bad draw. This is a round robin in between 4 different 8-team groups, right? You could have played the 3 strongest teams already, started off 0-4, and now you get to go to an easier part of your schedule. And coming off like this, I know it's hard to say it's a moral victory, but they looked much better and much more cohesive on Icebox.
Absolutely. Excited for their future, and I'm excited to see who we might be able to talk to in an interview with Weber State University right after this break. Don't go anywhere. You want to hear some thoughts from the minds of Valorant players here on ECAC. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Esports U. My name is Visionary One. Alongside me for this night so far has been Carlos Ivan. We've had a bunch of fun being able to cast this matchup in between Weber State and the University of Rochester, which Weber State has won 2-0. Fortunate enough for both of us, we're actually able to talk to Fizrain, who is the captain of this this Weber State team. Definitely looking forward to chatting with him. Fizrain, how are you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing great. It was a good fought victory. It was probably one of the funnest games we probably played as a team. So I'm pretty ecstatic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, y'all had a great selection of maps there. We got to see the off meta picks, quote unquote, of Lotus and Icebox tonight. I know y'all picked Icebox. Is that a map that y'all are super familiar with? I saw that y'all brought the double controller with Harbor and Viper as well, which is something I'm a big fan of. Can you kind of talk me through why your pick was Icebox? Is it something you wanted to try, or was it something that you had already cooked up?
I mean, yeah, we kind of been cooking in the kitchen, if you know what I'm saying. We've been cooking a lot on Icebox, so we've been trialing the Harbor. We like the Harbor instead of the double Senti comp with the Sage. So we incorporated the Harbor because we like that retake possibilities and the walls to shut off angles and the orb to help with plant, which basically kind of is like a Sage wall. But yeah, that's basically what the whole thing. And not only that, but having two walls and being able to play off lurks and being able to look around the map more as a whole than just a singular hit one side with a Viper wall, if you get what I'm saying.
Yep.
You know, speaking of those lurks, you had one lurk in the latter half of Icebox that I would say essentially secured the victory, with you specifically stopping out that Hunter's Fury. Can you talk me to the game plan in the buy round, the buy phase, on how you came up with that plan?
All right. So how that whole plan worked out is we knew where this op was playing. So we knew obviously this opera was going to be A. We already made the plan before that we were going to come down belt or hug the wall to make sure we're not getting op from on top of bridge from the generator section. And my call was I was going to come for the lurk because I knew that these guys wanted, because our team already wanted to use KJ ulti to help secure the round. But we know that in order for that to happen, the only way they can shut this down is Soba's ulti. Well, that's exactly what you guys saw play out. We knew that they were going to insta-rotate. They're a really fast insta-rotating team that we saw, and we were able to play off that lurk. And I noticed that this Sova likes to play around B. So the moment I hear and I know that this Sova is now B, I know no one is around B. That's why you kind of saw me run up through B, and I was able to transition through it and just hold on to that Hunter's Fury. Lucky for me, he was in a position that was really open to me coming through that large flank. I was making sure I took my time with the shot on that last one because I didn't want to end up losing and somehow not getting the kill, and he gets the third shot off and we lose that KJ ulti. But basically the pre-round was that I was going to get that lurk going on B while we storm up front A and then play kind of towards the backside, which you guys saw, and then we just retake from there.
You know, and that was a solid play toward the latter half of Icebox. And what we saw in both of these maps throughout the series is that you're a team of swings where in the very beginning, it is an explosive start for WSC. You have a great streak. But as time goes on, Rochester really had opportunities to come back in streaks of their own, and usually in the second half of the map. Is there any reason why you think that your opponents were able to build some momentum against you before you ultimately clutch?
All right, so well, I think that actually what was going on was we were having some talks and calls and stuff. We were debating on whether or not to take a timeout. And what we came to the conclusion was we just need to find the op because this op was totally just shutting us down. There, he was always getting a pick or two, or they'd play hard post plant, and we just knew that we need to start playing more around the lurks. That's where my lurk came out because then I realized that these guys are probably fast rotating. So that's where we wanted to start conditioning him towards that. They did a great job at shutting us down on every site. Like I was not able to lurk through mid or anywhere. They were able to just hold that and able just to shut me down for a few rounds, which brought back a lot of potential. But I got to give it to my team. With me not being there, they did a great job hitting the team and coordinating together to get those sites down.
I mean, overall, it was a great job on Viper lurking. Obviously, you played Breach in the first map as well. Did a phenomenal job there, just kind of shutting down that A rubble pressure that always comes out. But with the interview kind of wrapping up, as always, I'm going to give you a chance to either shout out, your team, anybody in particular in your personal life, or maybe you just want some words for Wichita State, who you're going up against next week.
Some shout outs I'd like to give is definitely to all my team members. I gotta give it to Zinc and Usopp. They're the new members on the team. And they've been able to show and perform at scrims. And I think you guys saw a great half on Zinc when he got the 1v3 clutch on pistol round. That was ecstatic. That was an awesome point for his debut. We also had Usopp come in and fill in a role that we've lost a player on. And then overall, Dozen Boot just dominating the field. And we had John in those clutch instances to help shut it down. And what I gotta say to Wichita is I'll see you next week.
Love to hear it, Fizz Rain. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We certainly appreciate your words as well as you willing to join us here. And that's going to wrap it up for the Valorant portion, at least here for ECAC tonight. After this, though, we're going to be bringing you some Mountain West Overwatch. So I'm definitely excited. Be here. Be sure to stick around. There's more action coming up to you live on Esports U.